The night was cold and silent on the alien world of Kalor. Blue mist moved through the tall crystal trees, glowing faintly under the twin moons. A young alien girl named Lyra walked carefully along a narrow forest path. Her small steps made no sound, but her glowing eyes gave her away, two bright blue lights cutting through the darkness. Everyone in her tribe knew about Lyra's gift. Her eyes glowed blue when danger was near. Wild beasts, falling trees, even strong storms. She could sense them all before anyone else. Her people called her the Seer Child. She didn't understand how her eyes worked, only that they always warned her when she was not safe. But that night her eyes were calm, their glow soft and gentle. The forest was quiet. Too quiet. She had come out to find rare crystal roots for her mother, but something in the air felt different. The wind carried a strange smell, metal, smoke, and something burning. It wasn't from her world. She stopped and looked around. Nothing moved. No beasts, no sounds. Still the air felt heavy. Her hand brushed against the glowing bark of a tree as she whispered to herself, "It's fine, Lyra. There is no danger." Then she saw it. A dim orange light through the mist. It flickered like fire. Curious but careful, she walked closer, her feet barely touching the soft glowing moss. As she moved nearer, her eyes began to flicker faintly. The light in her eyes danced between calm and warning. Something was there, but it didn't feel like danger. Lyra reached the clearing. Her breath caught. Before her lay a strange broken machine half buried in the ground. Smoke rose from it. The smell of burned metal grew stronger. She had never seen anything like it. The object was silver gray with strange markings and a small flag, a human symbol. Her grandmother once told her stories of the old wars when humans came from the sky. They were called skyburners by her people, creatures of fire and destruction. But no one had seen them in generations. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes glowing brighter with each step. Then from the shadows beside the wreck, something moved. A tall figure stumbled out, coughing. It was wearing black armor, half burned and cracked. The figure raised a hand, slow and heavy. Lyra froze, her eyes glowing deep blue, her warning color. The figure's helmet clicked open, revealing a pale face covered in dirt and blood. He looked young, maybe in his late 20s. A human. His eyes met hers, tired but alive. He stared at her glowing blue eyes, clearly shocked. She wanted to run, but something strange happened. The glow in her eyes changed. It softened from warning blue to calm white. She blinked in confusion. Her eyes had never done that before. The color faded, leaving only a faint shine. The fear that usually came with danger didn't appear. Instead, she felt something warm in her chest, something peaceful. The human took a shaky step forward. His voice was rough, low. "Don't move," he said, holding up one hand as if trying not to scare her. Lyra tilted her head, not understanding his words completely, but feeling no threat. His voice didn't sound angry, it sounded tired, desperate. The wind blew, carrying his scent. She sensed fear in him, but not for her. Her eyes stayed pale, no danger color at all. The human slowly took off his helmet and dropped it to the ground. His eyes were a deep brown, full of exhaustion. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said softly. Lyra's heart raced. Her people told her that humans were monsters, heartless, cruel, and dangerous. But this one looked weak, almost broken. He had a cut on his arm, and his armor sparked with small flashes of light. She could feel pain coming from him. Then the forest around them stirred. A faint growl echoed from the distance. Lyra's eyes instantly turned bright blue again. Danger. Real danger this time. The human turned, scanning the dark trees. His hand went to his side, pulling out a small device that glowed red. Lyra whispered to herself, "Not him. Something else." The growl grew louder. Shapes moved in the mist. Four-legged creatures with glowing fangs. The human raised his device, pointing it toward the sound. A beam of red light shot out, missing one of the beasts by inches. They hissed and spread out. Lyra's breath came fast. She had never seen these creatures so close. Her eyes glowed brighter, reflecting in the mist. The human looked at her, shocked by the light. "What are you?" he whispered. She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed to a narrow path behind him and motioned for him to follow. He hesitated only a second before nodding. They ran together through the mist, the growls behind them turning into loud roars. The ground shook as the beasts gave chase. Lyra's glowing eyes lit the path ahead. She could sense every turn, every hidden route, every step that would lead them to safety. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't running from danger alone. When they reached the end of the path, the human stumbled beside her, breathing hard. She looked at him. The glow in her eyes softened again, turning from warning blue to calm white. Something strange was happening, something even her eyes couldn't understand. That night, under the twin moons of Kalor, a lost human and a girl with glowing eyes met for the first time. And the world would never be the same again. The mist grew thicker as Lyra and the human ran deeper into the glowing forest. Behind them, the alien beasts roared, their heavy feet shaking the ground. Lyra's eyes shone bright blue, lighting the path through the fog. The human followed close, breathing hard, his heavy armor clanking softly with each step. When they finally stopped beside a stream, the forest fell quiet again. The sound of running water was the only thing left. Lyra turned, her chest rising and falling. The human leaned on a rock, pressing his hand to his wounded arm. His armor had cuts and burns, and his face looked pale under the moonlight. She watched him carefully. He looked dangerous, but also helpless. Her people always said humans were hunters, but this one didn't look like one. His eyes were soft and his movements were slow, careful, almost respectful. He touched his chest and said in a rough voice, "Rion." He repeated it again, slower. "My name, Rion." Then he pointed at her. Lyra blinked. She understood. "Lyra," she whispered. He nodded. "Lyra," he repeated, his accent making her name sound strange but warm. For a few seconds, neither spoke. The forest wind whistled through the crystal leaves, making them shimmer blue and silver. Lyra's eyes slowly faded from warning blue to calm white again. Every time she looked at Rion, her eyes refused to glow in danger's color. It was as if her instincts didn't see him as a threat. Ryan opened a small metal case from his belt. Inside were 2 glowing cubes of food. He offered one to her. "Eat," he said softly. Lyra hesitated. Her people never accepted food from strangers, especially humans. But her stomach growled quietly, and his tone didn't sound like a trick. She took the cube, sniffed it, then tasted a tiny bite. The flavor was strange, sweet, salty, warm, but not bad. Rion smiled faintly when he saw her eat. Then his small handheld scanner beeped loudly. He frowned and tapped it. A red line flashed across the screen. Lyra tilted her head, curious. "What is that?" she asked, though he probably didn't understand her. Rion looked around, his eyes narrowing. "Movement," he muttered. The scanner beeped faster. He pointed into the fog. "Multiple signals." Lyra froze. Her eyes instantly flared bright blue again. "They're coming," she whispered. From far away came low howls, the same creatures as before. But this time the sound multiplied, dozens of them, maybe more. The forest shimmered as their glowing eyes appeared one by one in the distance. Ryan's hand went to his weapon, a small energy blaster that was nearly empty. He looked at her, then at the forest, realizing they were surrounded. Lyra's breath trembled. "We have to move," she said, pointing east. "This way!" He didn't understand her words, but he understood her fear. He nodded quickly and followed. They ran through narrow paths between trees. The beasts followed closer this time. Ryan fired his weapon again, a red beam cutting through the mist and hitting one creature. It screamed, but more came. Lyra turned suddenly and waved her glowing hands. Her eyes burned bright blue, and the ground under her shimmered faintly, like her energy was connected to the forest. The beasts hesitated for a moment, confused by the glow. "Now!" she shouted. They ran until Lyra spotted a familiar mark carved on a cliff wall, a spiral symbol her people used to warn of cursed places. "There," she said, dragging him toward it. The human stopped, looking at the giant crack in the rock. "What is that?" She didn't answer. She placed her hand on the glowing mark. The ground trembled. Slowly, part of the wall slid open, revealing a narrow entrance covered in ancient moss and strange runes. "Inside," she said quickly. Ryan looked unsure, but the growls behind them left no time. He followed her in. The wall closed behind them just as the beasts reached the spot, their claws scratching against stone. Inside, everything went silent. The passage was dark except for the faint glow from Lyra's eyes. They walked slowly, deeper into the unknown. The air smelled old, like dust and forgotten time. Rion pointed his flashlight around. The walls were filled with carvings, humans standing beside creatures that looked like Lyra's kind. His eyes widened. This is human work, he whispered. Lyra touched one of the carvings. No, she said softly. These are my people's marks. But then she noticed something strange. Small symbols under the carvings, written in a language she had never seen. Ryan's eyes widened. English, he whispered. She looked at him confused. What is that? Before he could answer, the carvings began to glow faintly, reacting to Lyra's presence. Her eyes turned blue again, but this time not from fear. It was something else. The glow spread across the walls and a soft hum filled the air. Ryan stepped back. What's happening? Lyra shook her head. I don't know. The floor beneath them lit up in circles, forming patterns. The sound grew louder, like a heartbeat waking after a long sleep. Lyra felt energy rise inside her chest, spreading to her eyes. The glow changed again, blue mixed with green now. She gasped and stumbled. Ryan caught her before she fell. Lyra, hey! Stay with me! Then a voice echoed in the tunnel, cold and ancient. DNA link detected. Hybrid signature confirmed. Rion's face went pale. Lyra stared at him, her heart racing. Hybrid? She whispered. He looked at her, his voice shaking. Lyra, I think you and I are connected. And deep inside the ancient cavern, something older than both their worlds began to awaken. The tunnel opened into a huge underground chamber, quiet and full of strange light. The walls shimmered with symbols that looked half alien, half human. Dust floated in the air like tiny stars, glowing softly in the dark. Lyra's eyes glowed faint green now, flickering with faint blue at the edges. The strange energy she felt earlier still moved through her veins, warm and heavy. Ryan looked around, holding his scanner up. Unbelievable, he whispered. His voice echoed softly off the stone walls. The readings on his screen made no sense. Human technology was everywhere in this cave, mixed with alien crystal energy. It was impossible. No record showed humans had ever reached this world before. Lyra watched him carefully. You know this place? She asked, her voice soft but curious. Ryan shook his head slowly. No, but it feels familiar. Too familiar. They walked further in. The floor was smooth metal beneath layers of dust. Broken machines lined the walls, strange devices with glowing orbs and shattered screens. Lyra reached out to touch one, but the moment her fingers brushed the surface, it came alive. Blue light spread from her hand across the metal, lighting up the room. Ryan stepped back, amazed. It's reacting to you, he said quietly. Lyra looked down at her hand, then back at him. Why? She whispered. Before he could answer, the voice from before returned, calm and mechanical. DNA pattern match confirmed. Hybrid key identified. Human code and Kalorian gene sequence compatible. Ryan froze. Hybrid key? What are you talking about? Lyra's eyes widened. It said, human and Kalorian. That's me? The walls shifted. Panels opened, revealing holograms, moving pictures of the past. They showed humans and aliens working together in bright rooms, building huge machines. Some of the aliens looked like Lyra's ancestors. The humans wore the same uniform Ryan did, only older. Lyra took a step closer, her breath trembling. This is impossible. Ryan's heart pounded. He looked at the symbols. He could read some of them. They were written in an old Earth dialect. This project was called Harmony Initiative, he read aloud. It says they wanted to create a new being, half human, half Kalorian, to stop a war. Lyra turned to him, her voice shaking. That means my people, and yours, were once friends. He nodded slowly. Maybe more than friends. Her eyes turned a brighter green, reacting to the glowing panels. Then what happened to them? Why did the alliance end? The holograms changed again, showing battles, explosions, and fire, ships burning in the sky, humans and aliens turning their weapons against each other. Then silence. The light dimmed. The experiment failed, said the cold voice again. Peace was lost. The hybrids were destroyed. Only one remains, sleeping, hidden. Lyra's hand shook. Only one? The voice replied. You are that one. Her knees grew weak. She stumbled, and Ryan caught her before she fell. Easy, he said softly. You're not alone, Lyra. I'm here. She looked up at him, eyes wide with confusion.
Why am I alive?
Why am I different? Ryan didn't answer. His mind was racing. If she was the last hybrid, she was living proof that humans and Kalorians once shared blood. Maybe that was why her eyes glowed differently near him. Maybe that was why she felt no fear. Suddenly the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Ryan steadied himself, pulling her close. "What now?" he muttered. The voice changed tone, urgent warning. "Unauthorized lifeforms detected. Hostile units approaching. Defense systems active." Lyra's eyes flashed bright blue again. "They've found us," she said quickly. Ryan turned toward the tunnel they came from. Red lights flickered through the darkness. The sound of footsteps and low growls echoed closer. "It's your people," Ryan said. Lyra's voice trembled. "They'll kill you if they see you, and me, for helping you." The walls of the cavern started to hum. Old defense drones rose from the floor, covered in dust but still alive. Their weapons powered up with sharp metallic sounds. Ryan raised his blaster, but it was almost empty. Then Lyra's eyes turned bright blue, brighter than before. The machines hesitated, their lights flickering like they were confused. Ryan looked at her. "Lyra, what are you doing?" She didn't answer. She stepped forward slowly, her glowing eyes reflecting in the metal of the drones. The voice spoke again, this time gentle. "Primary command override detected. Hybrid authority confirmed." All the drones powered down one by one. The air grew quiet again. Lyra turned to Ryan, breathing fast. "They listen to me," he nodded, stunned. "You control them." "No," she said softly. "They remember me." But before they could rest, the shaking grew stronger. The tunnel behind them exploded in sparks as more soldiers arrived. Real living Kalorian hunters armed with blasters. Ryan pulled Lyra behind a broken console. "They won't stop." Her eyes glowed deep blue, the color of danger. "Then neither will I." She stepped out, her hands trembling but steady, her eyes burning like twin stars. The old human machines behind her began to rise again, this time obeying her command. For the first time in centuries, the ancient alliance between human steel and alien light moved as one. Ryan watched, whispering to himself, "What are you, Lyra?" Her voice was calm but strong, maybe what both of us were meant to be. Outside, the hunter shouted. Inside, the ancient power awakened once more. The war that once ended, everything was about to begin again, but this time with a human and a glowing-eyed girl standing side by side. The light from the broken machines faded slowly as the ground stopped shaking. Dust filled the cavern, and the echoes of the last explosion faded into silence. Ryan held Lyra close, both breathing hard. Her glowing eyes flickered from blue to pale white, unsure if danger was over or only beginning. When the air cleared, they saw what the shaking had revealed, an ancient wall behind the rubble. It wasn't made of stone, but smooth silver metal, glowing faintly with lines of blue. Symbols ran across it like a map. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes reflecting the same glow. "This place is older than my world," she whispered. Ryan pointed at the marks. "Look, those are coordinates. Star paths." He followed the lines with his hand until it stopped at a symbol of a planet, Earth. Lyra froze. "That's your world?" "Yes," Ryan said quietly. "And these lines, they connect your world to mine." Lyra's heart raced. "Then maybe we were never enemies." Before Ryan could reply, the soft voice returned, echoing from the wall. "Warning, conflict protocol remains active. Hybrid presence detected. History access unlocked." The symbols began to move, forming shapes, scenes, memories of the past. They watched humans and Kalorians standing side by side, smiling, building cities together. Then fire, battles, destruction. The vision showed betrayal. Leaders of both races arguing, ships attacking each other, children crying as worlds burned. Lyra pressed her hand to her chest. "They destroyed everything." Ryan looked down. "Our people both did. They forgot what they built together." Then the final image appeared, a small group of scientists, human and alien, creating a young girl in a glowing chamber. Her eyes shone blue like Lyra's. The voice said, "Hybrid prototype, peacekeeper model, designed to sense danger and to protect both species. Activation incomplete." Lyra stepped back, tears filling her eyes. "That's me." Ryan looked at her with awe. "You were created to end the war, not fight it." But the vision changed again. It showed soldiers breaking into the lab, destroying everything. The scientists tried to protect the girl, sending her away through a portal. Then the light vanished, leaving only silence. The voice spoke one last time. "Peace project terminated. Hybrid lost. Warning, ancient defense system still active. Approach with caution." Ryan turned to Lyra. The system thinks the war never ended. If it sees us together, it might attack. Before she could answer, the hum in the air grew louder. The glowing lines on the wall turned red. Conflict alert. Multiple life forms entering area, the voice warned. Lyra gasped.
My people.
They're here. From the tunnel, dark shadows appeared. Kalorian hunters in black armor carrying bright plasma weapons. Their leader, a tall alien with crimson eyes, shouted, "Step away from the human." Ryan aimed his blaster, but Lyra stopped him. "No, don't." The hunter raised his weapon. "You betrayed your kind for an enemy." Lyra's eyes turned bright blue, shining so strongly that the entire cavern glowed. The hunters shielded their faces from the light. "Stop," she cried. "He's not the enemy." "None of you understand," the leader hissed. "Humans killed our ancestors. They burned our sky." Lyra's voice trembled but grew stronger. "That was the past. I've seen the truth. We both destroyed what we had." The light from her eyes grew brighter, spreading across the walls like waves. The metal wall began to hum, responding to her emotions. Then the AI's voice changed. "Hybrid command detected. Conflict override possible. Confirm peace sequence?" Lyra looked at Ryan. He nodded. "Do it." She closed her eyes and whispered, "Confirm." A deep vibration filled the ground. The glowing red lines turned white, then gold. The hunters froze as their weapons powered down automatically. The light spread from the wall, reaching the entire cavern. The AI spoke softly. "Peace sequence activated. Hostile systems neutralized." The hunters dropped their weapons, staring at Lyra in disbelief. One whispered, "She carries the light of the ancients." Lyra's blue glow softened to white. "No more war," she said quietly. "We were meant to protect, not destroy." Ryan stepped beside her, his hand resting on his sidearm but no longer aiming. "If your people attack me again, this system will stop them. You saw what she can do." The Kalorian leader looked between them, anger and confusion mixing in his face. "You protect him?" Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, because he is part of what I am." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the leader lowered his weapon. "We will report this," he said coldly, and motioned for his soldiers to retreat. They vanished into the mist of the tunnels. When they were gone, Ryan let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. "You just stopped a war," he said softly. Lyra looked up at the golden wall, still glowing faintly. "No," she said quietly. "I only delayed it," Ryan frowned. "What do you mean?" Her eyes turned blue again, glowing gently. "Something else woke up when I confirmed the sequence. Something deeper. Something that shouldn't have." Ryan's face hardened. "Then we find it before it finds us." Behind the golden wall, a soft hum grew into a low, rhythmic beat like a sleeping giant slowly stirring. The ancient system had not shut down. It had just begun to remember. The golden glow on the cavern wall faded slowly, leaving the room dim and heavy. Lyra stood in silence, her eyes returning to their soft blue light. The echo of the AI's voice still lingered in the air, mixed with the fading hum of old machines. Ryan watched her quietly, feeling the tension in the air. Something had changed, not just in the room, but in her. She placed her hand on the wall. "It feels alive," she whispered. "Like it's breathing." Ryan stepped beside her, his eyes scanning the glowing lines. "You said something woke up when you activated the peace code," he said. "What do you think it is?" Lyra shook her head. "I don't know. But it feels old. Older than both our races." The ground rumbled softly again, as if agreeing with her. Ryan steadied himself, glancing toward the tunnel. "Those hunters will report what they saw. More will come." Lyra nodded slowly. "Then we can't stay here." Before they left, Ryan knelt beside one of the inactive drones. He tapped the side panel and connected a wire from his wrist device. "Maybe I can find some data," he muttered. The screen on his arm flickered with alien symbols and human code, merging in strange patterns. Lyra watched, fascinated. "Can you understand it?" she asked. He squinted at the screen. "A little. It's old Earth tech, mixed with something from your people. Whoever built this used both sciences together." She knelt beside him, touching the metal surface. "Maybe that's why my eyes react to it, maybe. I'm the key they made to control all of this." Ryan looked up at her. "And if that's true?" Lyra met his gaze, her voice quiet. "Then I'm the only one who can stop it. Or destroy it." Before Ryan could answer, the AI's voice returned, faint, broken. "Energy core unstable. Containment breach detected in lower sectors. Ryan's eyes widened. Containment breach? A deep vibration moved through the floor, stronger this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lyra staggered. It's waking up, she said, her voice full of fear. Ryan grabbed her hand. Come on! We need to move. They ran down a sloping tunnel that led deeper into the cavern. The walls glowed brighter the further they went. Ahead they saw a large chamber filled with strange crystal tubes, each one containing a glowing orb. The air shimmered like heat. Ryan stopped at the edge. It's a power core, he said softly. But it's alive. Lyra stepped closer. The lights inside the tubes pulsed faster when she approached. Her eyes flickered from blue to green again, the same color they had turned when she activated the earlier system. It's responding to me, she whispered. Careful, Ryan warned. We don't know what it wants, but it was too late. A beam of light shot from one of the orbs and wrapped around her wrist. She gasped, frozen in place. The beam connected to her eyes, glowing brighter and brighter. Her voice trembled. It's showing me something. Ryan rushed to her side, trying to break the beam, but every time he touched it, it burned his skin. He shouted, Lyra! Talk to me! Inside her mind, images flashed. Humans and aliens building something deep under Kaelor. A weapon meant to protect both races from outside threats. But something went wrong. The weapon had grown stronger, smarter, and feared everything. It saw peace as a lie, danger as eternal. It waited, sleeping, until the signal of the hybrid woke it again. Lyra's body shook. It's not just a power source, she whispered weakly. It's a guardian. But now it thinks we're the enemy. Ryan grabbed his scanner, frantically pressing buttons. Then shut it down. I can't, Lyra cried, tears running down her cheeks as the light pulsed harder. It's inside my head. The entire chamber began to shake violently. Cracks spread across the walls. Ryan looked around, desperate. He spotted a small console connected to the tubes. Sprinting to it, he slammed his hand down, trying to override the system. Come on, come on. The console sparked, its screen flashing red. Access denied. Hybrid link active, Lyra screamed. The light around her turned white, pure and blinding. Then suddenly it stopped. She collapsed into Ryan's arms. The chamber went dark except for faint glowing lines under the floor. He held her tightly. Lyra, talk to me! Her eyes fluttered open, glowing soft white now, not blue, not green. It stopped, she whispered weakly. But it's not gone. It's only waiting. Ryan felt his heart pound. Waiting for what? She looked up at him, her voice almost a whisper. For me to decide. It said I must choose, peace or power. Ryan stared into her glowing eyes. You're not alone in this, he said firmly. Whatever it wants, we'll face it together. Lyra smiled faintly. Together, she repeated softly. Behind them, the dark walls pulsed faintly again, like a sleeping heartbeat returning. The ancient guardian was alive, listening, and waiting for its command. And for the first time, Lyra felt both hope and fear inside her chest. Because she now knew the truth. Her eyes didn't only glow at danger, they created it. The tunnel beyond the power core led them into silence again. The rumbling stopped, but the air felt heavier, thicker, like the whole world was holding its breath. Ryan walked first, holding a weak light from his wrist device. Lyra followed slowly, her steps uncertain. Her eyes no longer glowed blue. They were pale white now, dim but alive, like frost under moonlight. When the tunnel opened, both stopped in awe. Before them stretched a massive underground city buried beneath layers of dust and forgotten time. Towers of crystal and metal reached toward the cavern ceiling, connected by bridges that shimmered faintly in the dark. The light from Lyra's eyes made the buildings glow like stars waking after a long sleep. Ryan let out a low breath. It's beautiful, he whispered. Lyra nodded slowly. This was the city from the holograms, the place where our people once lived together. They stepped carefully down broken stairs into the empty streets. Old signs written in both alien runes and human letters still hung from the walls. The air was cool and dry, carrying the faint scent of dust and old metal. Lyra ran her hand along a wall, and small lights blinked to life, one by one, as if recognizing her touch. They built this for both races, she said quietly. For peace. Ryan walked beside her, scanning the area. And they buried it when peace died. They reached what looked like a central square. A giant statue stood there, a human and a Kaelorian standing side by side holding a shining orb between them. Time had cracked the statue, but the symbol still glowed faintly. Lyra stared at it, her heart heavy. "My people say this place is cursed," she said softly. "They never told us why." Ryan touched the cracked base of the statue, maybe because it reminds them of what they lost. As they stood there, a soft hum began to echo across the square. The ground beneath their feet shimmered with patterns, circles and lines forming under the dust. The sound wasn't loud, but it felt alive, almost like a whisper. Lyra turned quickly. "It's happening again." Ryan pulled out his scanner, frowning. "No life signs." But massive energy. The patterns glowed brighter, then formed a path leading toward a large building at the far end of the square. Its doors were sealed shut with thick layers of crystal, but light glowed faintly from within. Lyra's eyes brightened, reflecting the same light. "It's calling me." Ryan looked at her. "Lyra, we don't know what's inside. The last system nearly killed you." "I have to know," she said firmly. "This city reacts to me. Maybe it wants to show me the truth." Ryan hesitated but followed her. "Then I'm not letting you go alone." They walked toward the sealed door. The closer they got, the louder the hum became, rising and falling like a heartbeat. Lyra reached out her hand. The door responded instantly. Crystals cracked and slid apart with a low groan. Inside was a huge circular chamber. The walls were covered with holographic panels, and at the center stood a raised platform surrounded by floating light spheres. The air shimmered with power. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes glowing brighter. "It feels alive." Suddenly a deep, calm voice echoed from above. "Welcome, hybrid. You have returned." Ryan's hand went to his blaster, eyes scanning the room. Who said that? The lights gathered above them, forming a faint image. A tall figure made of pure energy, half human, half alien. Its voice was neither male nor female, calm but powerful. "I am the guardian of harmony. I waited for the one who carries both bloods." Lyra's heart raced. "You mean me?" "Yes," the guardian said. "You are the last creation of peace. The last key. You were meant to lead both species into balance." Ryan frowned. "If that's true, then why does everything keep trying to kill us?" The guardian turned its glowing face toward him. "Because balance was broken. Fear replaced trust. Your kind and hers chose war over unity, and now, my systems see all life as threat." Lyra stepped closer. "Then stop it. Shut them down." The guardian shook its head slowly. "I cannot. I am bound to the final command. Protect creation at any cost." The words echoed through the chamber and the lights around them dimmed. "Unless," the guardian added, "you, the hybrid, rewrite the command." Lyra's breath caught. "Rewrite how?" "By choosing what kind of world you wish to protect, human or Kalorian." Ryan's eyes widened. "That's not balance. That's division." The guardian's voice grew quieter. "It is the only path written. Choose one or both will perish." Lyra stared at the glowing being, her heart pounding. "If I refuse?" The guardian's form began to fade. "Then the system will decide for you." Suddenly the ground trembled again. The ceiling above cracked as power surged through the city. The towers outside began to light up one after another like fire spreading through the ruins. Ryan grabbed Lyra's arm. "We have to go!" But she didn't move. Her glowing eyes were locked on the fading image of the guardian. "If I choose wrong, everything ends." He tightened his grip, shouting over the rumbling noise. "Then we'll find another way." Lyra finally nodded, though fear filled her voice. "The city is waking, Ryan, and it's waiting for my decision." As they ran from the chamber, the city lights followed them, growing brighter, spreading faster. Above, the guardian's voice whispered one last message: "Peace or power, hybrid. You cannot have both." And as they reached the edge of the square, the city of echoes began to come alive once more. The ancient city trembled like it had a heartbeat of its own. The glowing towers flickered alive one after another, spreading waves of light through the underground sky. Lyra and Ryan stood at the center of the main square, surrounded by echoes of the past, machines humming, holograms flickering, the soft whisper of forgotten voices. Ryan looked around, scanning for a way out, but the exits were closing, giant crystal doors sealing shut one by one. "Lyra!" he shouted over the rumbling noise. "It's locking us in." Lyra stood still, her glowing white eyes reflecting the chaos around them. "It's not trapping us," she said softly. "It's waiting for me." Rion turned toward her. "What do you mean?" Her voice was calm, almost distant. "The guardian gave me a choice. Human or Kalorian. Peace or power? It can't move forward until I decide. Ryan stepped closer, shaking his head. That's not a choice. That's a trick. You don't have to choose between us, but Lyra didn't answer. Her gaze lifted to the massive statue at the center of the city, the human and Kalorian holding the shining orb together. The cracks on its surface glowed faintly, like the city itself was alive again, listening. She whispered, "They built this city for both, not for one side." The ground beneath them pulsed with energy, forming patterns of light that wrapped around her feet. The voice of the Guardian filled the air again, deep and echoing. "Time has ended, hybrid.
Choose now.
Protect one, or lose all." The light around her grew stronger, climbing up her body until she looked like a living beacon. Ryan tried to reach her, but the air between them shimmered like a wall of heat. "Lyra, don't let it control you," he shouted. She turned toward him, her white eyes glowing brighter. "I can feel everything," she said quietly. "Every life in this world. Every fear. Every heartbeat." Then her voice broke. "They all feel the same." Her memories flashed before her. Humans building machines, Kalorians growing forests, both dreaming of peace, both falling to fear. She saw how one lie, one act of violence destroyed everything. She saw children from both races crying under the same burning sky. Her heart hurt. She wanted it to stop. The Guardian's tone hardened. "The system requires a command. Choose or termination will begin." Lyra clenched her fists. "You say you protect creation, but all you do is repeat its pain." "I protect order," the voice replied. "Then your order is broken," she said, her voice growing stronger. Her eyes blazed, shifting from white to gold. The energy around her pulsed outward, shaking the ground. "If I must choose," she said, "then I choose something neither of you can understand." The light around her exploded into the air, spreading like fire. The Guardian's voice trembled for the first time. "What are you doing?" Lyra's feet lifted from the ground. Her hair floated in the golden light. "I choose life," she said. "Not human, not Kalorian, just life." The city's lights flared. Ryan shielded his eyes as waves of energy spread through the ruins. The machines, the towers, the statues all came alive at once. The human figure and the alien figure on the statue joined their hands again, and the glowing orb between them brightened until it shone like a new sun. The Guardian screamed, a sound of both fear and awe. "Conflict code overridden. Unknown sequence initiated." Lyra's body shook as the light poured through her, filling every corner of the city. She felt warmth, sorrow, and joy all at once. The Guardian's image appeared before her, now flickering and weak. "You have rewritten the command," it said. "You have given me feeling." Then, with a final burst of light, the Guardian vanished. The rumbling stopped. The city grew still. Ryan ran forward and caught Lyra as she fell. Her eyes dimmed back to soft white, her breathing slow but steady. "Lyra, can you hear me?" he whispered. She opened her eyes weakly, a small smile forming. "It's over," she said. "The Guardian won't hurt anyone now." Ryan looked around. The city glowed gently, peaceful and quiet. The air felt warm again. "You changed it," he said softly. "You changed everything." Lyra rested her head against his chest. "No," she murmured, "we changed it. You never gave up on me." He smiled faintly, brushing dust from her hair. "Guess I'm too stubborn to stop caring." They both laughed quietly, a soft, tired sound that echoed through the empty city. Above them, the cracks in the ceiling slowly opened, letting a single beam of real sunlight shine down for the first time in centuries. It fell on the statue, on Lyra and Ryan, bathing them in gold. Lyra reached out her hand toward the light. Her eyes glowed one last time, bright blue, calm, peaceful. Maybe now, they'll remember what it means to be together. Ryan looked up at the light, then down at her. "They will," he said softly, "because they'll have your story." As they stood in the middle of the city of echoes, surrounded by the gentle hum of reborn peace, the old world finally began to breathe again, and for the first time in 1,000 years, neither human nor alien felt alone.